What's goody world? We are back. It is
Nolo and Tee.
yeah. Back. Hey, look. That little trick we ran on the last on the sister Hyacinth worked. So we gonna see if it work on this one. Joey Diaz, true friendship at a memorial service. You ready, baby? Let's rock.
So here's what happens. There's a bunch of comics telling true stories, and that's all it is. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Joey Diaz.
You know, when I was a kid, my mom had a bar and she was popular, so she had a lot of like girlfriends that hung out with her, like hot girls. But there was this one chick that she used to be kind of tight with that I couldn't fucking understand with the friendship. Like they would be on the phone all day, they would talk 5 times a day. If my mother was in the city, she would stop by a house. And then as I got older, I got the backstory that they knew each other in Cuba. And then this lady's name was Z. That's what we're gonna call her for this fucking story. Because the names have changed to protect the innocent, all that shit. So they came from Cuba, and Z married some dude and went to Chicago. My mom opted, went to New York, and like 6 months into the marriage, the guy was beating the hell out of Z, and my mom and my dad drove down there and saved her in the middle of the night and took her to New York, and she was indebted to them, and this is like 1960. And, you know, as long as I remember, my mom used to go there, and I liked going over to where she lived, because she went on to become a huge drug dealer in New York, right? On 113th and 5th Avenue in the mouth of Spanish motherfucking Harlem, right? And it was scary. It was like The Walking Dead. You see like Puerto Ricans walking around, people fucking nodding on the sidewalks.
All right. Now, I might be tripping. Woman's getting beat by her husband in Colombia. I might have this wrong, y'all, but this sounds like the Griselda Blanco story. Came to America with friends, and that was Miami that they went to, I think. Okay, I might just have it wrong, but the story sounds very similar to the Queen Pen's. Is that Griselda? Yeah, Griselda. I believe so. All right, my bad.
It was just amazing as a little kid to see this. Fuck the circus and the zoo. These are real fucking animals, like hanging there, laying in their own puke and shit. It's fucking tremendous. So I like going there too, because she always give me like a 20 or a 50. As young as I was, she always dropped, and she always did a blast of coke, no matter where the fuck she was. You understand me? So I would go over there, she'd pick me up, kiss me, and then go in her bra, do a line, and ask me how school was. And she went to my first communion. She did a bump kneeling down in the fucking thing. She don't give a fuck. That's a real crazy lady. Not one of these ladies with a tattoo and a hat with a feather. I'm so crazy. No, you're not, all right? No, you're not. You go to yoga at Studio City. You ain't that fucking crazy, all right? Fucking crazy. Go to yoga in Compton, bitch, and then we'll talk. So, go into her house, guys. She lived on the second floor of a bodega, and this is like the mid-70s. You know, you knocked on Z's door, and a black guy opened the door, and he'd point you to the back. And I knew I would run to the back, and she lived she had like maybe 3 rooms, you know, like a living room, but where she sold coke out of and heroin was this little room that had like beads in the front, like, you know, you opened it up and shit, and she'd be in there watching like novellas with a scale, a bag of coke, a gun, and a motherfucking chihuahua, you understand? Who fucking has a chihuahua for protection? And she was dark Cuban, so she had big tits and an ass. Like, she was good looking, but she had blonde hair. It was tight. 30 years before Little Kim. I mean, she was way ahead of her fucking time. Finally, like in the 8th or 9th grade, I figured out, you know, they were just good friends. They spoke all the time. Then my mom died. And she was the first phone call I made. And she was the first one there, you know. She made all the funeral arrangements. You motherfuckers been to regular viewings with Gentiles where they sit around and cry, and it's like, oh, he was such a great man. That's great. That's great. Then there's Irish fucking wakes where people are drinking and cursing, but then there's Cuban wakes. That makes an Irish wake look like a fucking daycare, okay? They drink 24, and it's open 24 hours. 24 hours, funeral parlor. And anything goes. People are doing lines, people are arguing, people playing dominoes, people playing fucking dominoes at my mother's fucking wake, okay? And the first night, I hear this commotion, and I go in the hallways. Z had the funeral director by the throat because she put the wrong dress on my mother. That is a fucking friend, motherfuckers, right? Like, because anybody could be a fucking friend when you're alive. But to fucking be at your funeral smacking motherfuckers, right? That's a friend, right? That's a fucking friend, you know? And she was checking people, like, hey, fuck you. You didn't like her, and she didn't fucking like you. Get out. She was checking people.
Oh, no, I like that. I like that. Fuck you doing here? You know she ain't like you. Your ass wants some free fucking gabagool. Get your ass up out of here.
You know, and all these people in there, oh, we love Denora and all this shit. You didn't hear shit from this lady. You didn't hear a word. There was no fakeness out of her. Right there, I learned what fake was and what real it was. At that early age, I learned it. I saw it. Like, people come up to me, oh my God, if you need anything. And then after my mom died, I call them and they changed their fucking phone number. But just little things that I saw right there, and I decided, oh my God, that's what a fake person is. I loved your mother. Oh God, take me. All that shit. You know, the whole fucking 4 days of the wake, Z didn't say shit. She would every once in a while just sit in the back and just take a little bump out of her bra and look at me and go, and she would just watch what was going on. And she was such a woman, like, men would be having conversation. I'm not talking about regular fucking guys. I'm talking about Latin, old school, machismo motherfuckers. And she would go tell them shit, like, shut the fuck up. Like, even they were scared of her. And I observed all this, like, how she had taken over from my mother. And then the last night, my mom got buried on a Monday. And that Sunday, I went outside to smoke a joint, whatever the fuck you go outside of a wake for, to get air. And when I came back, she was alone with my mother. It was the first time they were alone together. And she was kneeling down. And that's where I got it. She was petting her hair. And she was telling her how beautiful she was. And how the world wasn't going to be the same without her. And how she was going to miss her. And she was her sister. And it was just fucking mind-boggling. And then she said, and she turned, like, she knew I was there. And she goes, I'm going to take care of this motherfucker. I'm going to take care of him, and I'm going to watch over him, and I'm going to make sure he grows up to be a fucking man. And I saw the meaning of friendship right there when Z was petting the fucking hair and doing bumps. She did a fucking bump right there, right? She did a bump looking at the casket. She's like, I'd give you one, but what's the difference at this point? But then it was after that. She stuck to her fucking word. Every Sunday, she'd come over from Long Island and meet me at Weehawken Cemetery. And she'd bring a bottle of Dewar's, flowers, and she'd pour the bottle of Dewar's out and tell my mother how much she loved her and she missed her, and she'd do some bumps. And by that time, I was doing coke. And she would, like, do bumps into the spirit, like, here's a couple for you. And I'd be like, no, give them fucking things to me. You're gonna fucking throw them on the grass. It's $20 a fucking blast there. $20, $20, $20. Stop it already. Give it to me. So this went on. She took care of me, guys, from 79 till 83, till I got out of high school. Every fucking Sunday, 200 fucking beans, and she'd bring me weed, a little $5 nickel bag from the city. And then in 83, I moved to Colorado, and, you know, I got into craziness and shit, but I always called her twice a week. I would send her pictures, you know. And then I moved back to Jersey, and by that time I was a fucking lunatic, you know, and cocaine had absorbed me and stuff. And I kept in touch with her, and I would go into the city once a week and take her for a Cuban sandwich. There was a place on 118th Street we walked. And I went to Miami, and I found some friends of hers, and I beat them for like a half a kilo. And I just felt fucking bad. You know how it is, dog. One bump leads into another. Next thing you know, you're having a party. Next thing you know, you did 6 ounces of blow. It's a fucking nightmare, you know what I'm saying? And there's no rehabs, there's no hugs, you know. They don't give a fuck, you know, that's it. So I felt embarrassed. I came back from Miami and I'd fucked these people over. I felt embarrassed, so I didn't call her. I didn't call her for like 5 months. And in January of 85, I finally got a little sober, and I called her one day, and I goes, Z, what's going on? And she's like, where the fuck have you been? She goes, you haven't called me in like 5 months. She goes, the cops raided me. They took everything. She goes, my leg broke, and there was nobody here for me. And I felt fucking terrible. I let my mother down, I let myself down, I let Z down, and I was at a payphone, I just dropped the fucking payphone. It was like a kick in my stomach, like she had just said, you know, where the fuck were you for me? For all those years I was there for you, and you just disappeared on me. And I just felt terrible, and I walked away from the payphone. I didn't call her for about a week or two, and then I finally called, and the phone was disconnected. And I went over to the bodega a few times, and they told me that she got busted, and they closed the apartment, and I never talked to her again, and I felt like shit, and I live with that today. Damn. And that was 1985, you know, and I thought about it, and I digested it, and I swore to God that if I ever had a chance to be a friend to somebody, because you don't need 20 friends, you just need 3 motherfuckers, and you could take over a country. Okay, that's what we're confused as Americans. We think we need all these motherfuckers. You give me 3 bad motherfuckers, and you're finished. You understand me? You're fucking finished, because we got each other. And you know, listen, man, like Ari's my fucking Goomba to the end. He might be a Jew or whatever, and I'm Cuban, but that's my fucking Goomba, and he knows that's why I'm here. Not because whatever, but, you know, I promised that I would be a friend to people, and I would live and die for them. And, you know, when I look at people now, I always look at people sometimes and I go, how's that motherfucker gonna feel when I die? Is he gonna be talking shit at my funeral? Or is he gonna squeeze my daughter and come see her every week and give her a toy? You know, and that's how I have to look at people. That's how I was raised, you know? And I always lived with that guilt of not doing something for my friend. And then in 2007, I got off the blow. I quit doing cocaine. Don't ask, you know, don't clap. Nobody's supposed to do it anyway, you know? People are like, I'm off drugs. You're an asshole. You're not supposed to do drugs anyway, okay? Don't fucking break your arm tapping yourself in the back, asshole. So, right or wrong, these motherfuckers walk around with their water. I'm sober now. Who gives a fuck? You know, 2 months ago, you were sucking dick for rock at the Roxy. Now I gotta fucking shake your hand. Fuck you. Motherfuckers don't know, you know what I'm saying? So I got off coke. I had been off coke like 4 days. And that was tough for me. I used to go like 18 hours, and I'm like, ooh. That's a long fucking time, you know? I was clean for 4 days, and a dear friend of mine died. She was a comedian. She died of cancer. And there was this one producer that used to mess with us all the time here in LA. He would have these festivals and tell us that he was going to book us and then decide, oh, no, I'm not hiring dirty comics this year. Why would you have to work so dirty? He'd make us feel bad about being dirty comics. We were just expressing who the fuck we were, you know what I'm saying? So I saw him then. He had messed with me in Maryland a couple times, and I saw him at the church. Right, I saw him at the church, but it was 10 o'clock. I was a little on the stone side. I said, I might as well not say nothing to those. You know, sometimes you do a bong hit before church just to calm your nerves. You know, sometimes just 1.5, just to, you know, just to loosen you up before church.
Oh, yeah, because he said weed, he don't consider weed a drug.
Oh.
He did say that. I believe he said that in the last clip we did.
What is he?
And
I think he said it in that clip. I forget what he said.
because church sucks without a bong hit. Trust me, that's why it sucked as a kid. Once you start doing bong hits, church ain't that bad. It's a fucking hour. People shake hands. They give you a cookie. You know, everybody, peace be with you. You know what I'm saying? Right or wrong? Peace be with you, brother. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. So that night they had a memorial at a comedy club, and when I walk into the memorial, well, they had free food at the memorial, like this. Like they buried her that day, but they had like a microphone. They had a picture where you're gonna go up and say words. Then they had free food. When I walk in, guess who's eating the fucking free motherfucking food? That motherfucking producer. Now, by that time, it's after 8 o'clock. The cocaine addiction is growing. I'm getting madder by the minute. I'm Cuban. It's just developing, right? And they come over to me and they go, listen, we do the memorial. Can you go up on stage first? And I'm like, absolutely. And I'll get my words over and I'll get the fuck out of here. So I go home and go to sleep before I choke this motherfucker too, right? So they said, Joe, come into the stage. Joey Diaz, I go on stage. People, you know me. I talk for like a minute, and this motherfucker's over there with that smile on his face. You know when somebody's got like that smile on their fucking face? And in the middle of my memorial, I just stopped. And I go, I don't know what the fuck you're smiling about, motherfucker, you know? But I tell you what, I'm gonna go get a drink, and when I get back, you, your wife, and that fucking attorney better get the fuck out of here, because I'm gonna fuck you motherfuckers up. And I was serious, Jack. I was fucking serious. Like, I was done. Like, 7 days without a line of coke. This motherfucker, this is my out. I'll beat him up, and then fucking they'll throw me in county jail for 30 days. By the time I got out, I'll be clean and sober. I mean, that was my fucking... That's how you gotta think when you're fucking addicted.
You know, man, I'm sorry, babe. Growing up, why the hell am I talking like that? Growing up, my pops, you know, I have no problem talking about my pop's addiction. And that was my dad. Every time my father went to jail or prison he's been in jail 26 times, prison 4 times. Especially in prison. When he get out of prison, because he always used to do like 2 to 3 year. I think 4 year was his longest bid. No, I think 3 years was. Anyways, he would come out. And my mom, she made us go see my dad damn near every weekend, wherever he was. We just driving to go see him. And that's just how my mom was. And he would be swole. Pops come out. She know Pops. You know, me and Talisa been together a long time. So when I say swole, she's like, she can't picture Pop swole. Pop's swole as fuck. So what he's saying is true. Like, I wonder if my father ever thought that, like, fuck, finally I can go to jail, get out in about 2 months, and I'll be clean. But he do be clean, and then jump right back on into it.
How I was, you know? But I was really pissed about what this motherfucker had done to me and to Marilyn, and how he had the balls to show up at this fucking wake with that smile on his fucking face. And as I went to the drink and I came back in and him and his fucking family were gone, when I walked in my car, I thought about one thing, that I'm through. I did what I had to do. Without even knowing, I stuck up for one of my friends who had died. And that night, I became that much better as a human fucking being. I made my peace with Z, I made my peace with my mother, and most importantly, I made my peace with myself. And that's my story about that.
Good story, Joey. God damn, that boy got some good stories.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. He always has some good stuff.
I want to hear all the stories. I know y'all know all the stories. Y'all know we don't know all the stories. Please send all the stories. Or else we're just going to try to react to every Joey Diaz clip in existence. Try to put one out every week for y'all. Damn, Joey. Like, comment, share,
Subscribe.
and subscribe. Let's run it up, y'all.
Peace.